Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWACTalk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you. And today we're going to drop my version of the 2023 preseason All SWAC team. And we're also going to drop my first HBCU poll for the 2023 season. We're going to go ahead and get those things going. I'm going to try to keep this poll going throughout the season. So, there's going to be something that we update weekly once the season starts. We'll update that top 10 poll as the season goes on. So without any further ado, man, y'all make sure y'all check out those socials: Facebook is SWACTalk, Instagram, SWACTalk, X, Twitter, SWACTalk76. Make sure y'all like the video, share it, hit that notification bell, and hit that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit that join button to become a member. And take advantage of some of the great perks that we have. We're going to do our own version of a consolidated HBCU poll if you're a member. We're going to also have pick'em contests, and I'm going to try to do some Saturday night live or almost live reaction videos to those days' games. Those will be for members only. So hit that members button to get access to that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into this, man. We're gonna go ahead and start this off. I'm gonna start off with my All SWAC teams. The first team quarterback is Jeremy Musa from FAMU. Last season he was 229 of 393 for 2,730 yards. He had 27 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, completing 57.3% of his passes. He was also selected as the SWAC preseason offensive player of the year. My offensive player of the year would be Jarvion Howard, running back from Alcorn, finished with 250 carries, 1,275 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns. Joining him in the backfield is Donovan Eaglin from Alabama A&M, 171 carries, 873 yards, average 5.1 yards per carry with 6 touchdowns. My wide receiver group, Keyshawn Johnson from Alabama State, 41 catches, 715 yards, average 17.4 yards per catch with 4 touchdowns. Montario Hunt from Alcorn, 23 catches for 489 yards, 21.3 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. Lyndon Rash from Grambling, 34 catches, 535 yards, 15.7 yards per catch and 5 touchdowns. And Jamari Sharif, 45 catches for 588 yards, 13.1 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. Tight end on the first team is DJ Stevens from Jackson State, 37 catches, 376 yards, 10.1 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. Offensive lineman, Jalen Goss from Florida A&M, Jonathan Williams from Alabama A&M, Cameron Colvin from Florida A&M, Will Reddy, Alcorn, and TJ Yarborough from Alcorn. Sunday out of Anderson, who was picked as the SWAC preseason defensive player of the year. He had 50 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 1 quarterback hurry, 2 forced fumbles. Zarion Hayes from Alabama A&M, 53 tackles, 16.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries, and 2 forced fumbles. Also on the defensive line, Taj Brown from Southern, 28 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles and a pass breakup. Malachi Bailey from Alcorn, 36 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hurries, and 1 forced fumble. My SWACTalk preseason defensive player of the year, Colton Bubba Adams, 128 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 9 quarterback hurries, and 1 forced fumble. Also on the linebacking crew, Terrence Ellis from Alcorn, 92 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Isaiah Major, Florida A&M, 83 tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 pass breakups, 3 quarterback hurries, and 1 forced fumble. Closing out the linebacker group on the first team is Lewis Matthews, 103 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 quarterback hurry. Defensive backfield, Adrian Maddox from Alabama State, 49 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry, and 1 fumble recovery. Javon Morgan, Florida A&M, 42 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1.5 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 4 pass breakups. Kendall Bowler from Florida A&M, 23 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. Amari Hill Robinson from Bethune-Cookman, 27 tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. And Jordan Carter from Southern, 36 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Specialist kicker Josh Griffin from Southern, 6 of 9 on field goals, 36 of 39 on extra points, totaling 54 points on the season. Matt Knoll, who is a transfer from Delaware State, he was an all-MEAC punter, so I brought him on the list. He was 65 punts, 2,783 yards, averaged 42.8 yards per punt. Sean Xavier Lewis, Sweet Feet Lou from Texas Southern, he was an all-around return guy. Averaged 16.4 yards per punt return with 1 touchdown, 213 yards on 13 punt returns. And on kickoff returns, he averaged 24.9 yards per return, 23 returns for 572 yards. That rounds out our first team. Moving on to the second team, quarterback Andrew Body, 145 or 259, 1,807 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, also totaling 576 yards on the ground with 125 carries, 4.6 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. The running back group, Ahmad Antoine from Prairie View, 103 carries, 627 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. Ladarius Owens, Texas Southern, 123 carries, 661 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, and 5 touchdowns. And rounding out the running back group is Floyd Chalk from Grambling, 69 carries, 420 yards for 6.1 yards per carry, no touchdowns on the season. Wide receiver group, Cassius Allen from Southern, 26 catches, 407 yards, 15.7 yards per catch with 3 touchdowns. Derek Morton from Texas Southern, 36 catches, 571 yards, 15.9 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. And Marcus Riley, formerly of Bethune-Cookman, now at FAMU, 39 catches, 563 yards, 14.4 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. The tight end is Kamari Young from Florida A&M, 14 catches, 181 yards, 12.9 yards per catch with no touchdowns. The offensive line group on the second team, Eli Fields from Southern, Jack Nance from Texas Southern, Robert Austin from Alabama State, Ryan Atkins Frazier from Pine Bluff, and Arrington Taylor from Prairie View. Second team defense, defensive line group, Kelby Gibbons from Southern, 37 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Michael Akins, Texas Southern, 39 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 4 quarterback hurries. Gentle Hunt, Florida A&M, 30 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup, 2 quarterback hurries, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Devontae Davis, Jackson State, 21 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, 2 forced fumbles. Linebacking group, Jacob Williams from Texas Southern, 62 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, 3 quarterback hurries. Jalen Campbell from Southern, 82 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 1 quarterback hurry, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. Rico Dozier from Pine Bluff, 78 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. The linebacker group on the second team is Keyshawn Johnson from Prairie View, 76 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. Second team defensive backfield. Isaiah Guthrie from Jackson State. Didn't play last year, but at Delaware State the year before, he was an all-conference guy. 32 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 4 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. Kristen Davis from Southern, 41 tackles, 41 tackles, 2 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. Kel Jackson from Bama State, 26 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 3 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. Andrew Smith, Alcorn, 31 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. And rounding out the defensive back group is Charles George from Texas Southern, 32 tackles, 2 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 forced fumbles. Specialist kicker Victor Barbosa from Alabama A&M. He was 9 of 14 on field goals, 25 of 25 on extra points with 52 total points. Punter Robins Beauplan from Southern, 40 punts, 1,619 yards, 40.5-yard average. And the second team return guy is Darnell Dees. Kickoff returns, he averaged 26.1 yards per return with 2 touchdowns, 28 returns, 745 yards. That rounds out our first and second team preseason All SWAC teams. I will attempt to do a postseason All SWAC team, first and second team. We'll have that rolling out once the season wraps up. My top 10 for HBCU. Number 1 is the Celebration Bowl champ, North Carolina Central Eagles. They are favored again to win the MEAC. They have the top defensive player in the conference, the top offensive player in the conference, one of the top quarterbacks in FCS, and a really veteran unit returning, solid on the offensive line, solid on the defensive line. This is probably the best team on paper in the league and in HBCU round. Favored to win the Celebration Bowl again and the MEAC. So they're my number 1 team. From here on, you can put a lot of names in hats and pick them. FAMU is my number 2 team. They finished 9-2 last season. Lost the Orange Blossom Classic again. Missed out on the postseason this time. They are predicted to win the SWAC East by most folks, and they're also predicted to win the SWAC as a whole by most folks. So very veteran team, brought in a lot of new guys to add with the mix. Really solid defense, offense should still be steady. So they are my number 2 team. Number 3 is a team that some people pick to finish like 3-8. Some people think they can go undefeated. I think they're going to be somewhere in the middle, but this is a very talented team, and that's, at least on paper, this is a very talented Jackson State team who finished 11-1 last season. Lost a lot of guys, brought in a lot of guys. So we'll see how Coach C.C. Taylor does in his first year, molding and meshing this group together. Talent is there. Don't think that there's no talent. Like I said, the key for this team is how they're gonna gel and mesh, especially in those first few weeks of the season. But I have them as my number 3 team. Number 4 is, for me, is Alcorn. They finished 5-6 last season. I do have them picked to win the West Division. So for that reason alone, I put them at this spot. Jarvion Howard, one of the top backs in the country, returns. Defense was really, really good last season. I think the defense was kind of underrated last year. I don't think a lot of people realize how good their defense was, especially their pass rush. So I think with returning so many guys from that unit and having a receiver like Montario Hunt coming back and a lot of key transfer guys they're bringing in, including a quarterback in Tyler Macon. Also returning Aaron Allen, who started 8 games for them off at quarterback. So this is a very, very stacked team. Can they avoid the injury bug that bit them late in the season? If they can do that, then they're going to finish high. That's why I have them in my 4th spot. 5 is Howard, picked 2nd in the MEAC. Have one of the better running games in the country. Defense is solid. Quarterback is going to be where this team is determined. If they can find a way to get past Central, they can make it the Celebration Bowl. But right now, there's a lot of people very, very high on Howard. I'm kind of 50-50, but I do think that they are a team that's going to finish in that top part of the poll. So I put them number 5. Number 6, I have Southern. They finished 7-5. Should be a good team this season. where Southern finishes could be anywhere on the map. Obviously, new quarterback, lost some guys on the O-line. Did have a lot of guys who played last season, so they're plugging those guys in. So we'll see how that goes. Great running back room. Receivers are solid, even though they didn't get a lot of work. The talent is there in the receiver room. Defensively, the defensive line is going to be the question for Southern. They brought back some guys, and they have some guys transferring in. So can that group male linebacker crew is solid. Secondary is going to be really good. So this team can finish anywhere. I put them at 6 because I didn't want to just have a ton of SWAC teams in the top 5. So I bumped Southern down, bumped Howard up. Texas Southern is number 7. Again, a team who was one play and a few defensive stops away from winning the West Division. Finished 5 and 6 with their best record in quite some time. Return a lot of guys who were freshmen in 2021. They're juniors now. Their expectations are higher. This is a team that's going to be tough to beat. They can finish, again, just like everybody else in the West, they can finish number 1 or number 3. So coming off of last season, being right there, and with the expectations coming in this season, I have them at number 7. Number 8 is Tennessee State. Defense is going to be really good. I know a lot of people high on their defense. Offense, if Draylon Ellis can stay healthy, this offense should be pretty solid. Playing in that OVC Big South, we'll see how they do. Oh, excuse me. I knocked my camera down. Got a new setup. I'm sorry, I knocked my camera down right in the middle of that. Finished 4 and 7 last season, so we'll see where they go. They do have a tough first game, which is gonna probably hurt them in their rankings, playing Notre Dame in week 1. But we'll see how this team does as they move throughout the season. Another team moving to a new conference is North Carolina A&T. They finished 7 and 4 in the Big South. They are now in the Coastal, aka the Colonial Athletic Association. So there's a lot of scuttlebutt on where A&T is going to finish. They're still a talented team. They're playing in a tougher conference, so maybe their record won't be as good as the team may be. But I think they're easily a top 10 HBCU team right now. They finished 7 and 4 last season. Still have a lot of guys talented coming in, and a lot of talented guys there now, so they should be still in the mix. And I picked Morgan as my number 10 team. Their defense is going to be really, really good. They're going to be a very, very solid defensive team. Finished 4 and 7 last year. Offense, quarterback is the question. Can they get that spot solved and be able to score enough points to win games? That's going to be the key. So I put them at my 10 spot, which could have been any number of teams. Honestly, once you get past 2 or 3, you could probably have put any team in any spot, and you really wouldn't be that far off. I did throw a couple honorable mentions on there. Bama A&M at 4 and 7. I think they have potential to be a top 3 team in the East. Also, Alabama State, who finished 6 and 5 in Coach Eddie Robinson's first year. Defense should be good. Offense is the question mark for the Hornets. They were 6 and 5 last year, so I have them as an honorable mention. And rounding out the SWAC group is Prairie View, who again was a team who had a chance to go to the SWAC championship game. They finished 6 and 5. They lost to Valley in the last game of the season. They return a slew of guys, especially on the offensive line. Running back room is fantastic. Quarterback is a great runner. Can the passing game catch up with the run game for Prairie View? That's the question. And can the defense plug up some holes on the D-line? That's a big question for the Panthers. And I put South Carolina State as the last honorable mention team. These are in no order as far as honorable mention go. There's been a lot of talk that Corey Fields is looking better. He had an up and down season last season. Coach Buddy Pugh, he's going to be strong on defense. That's going to be, this is going to be a team that runs the ball and plays physical defense. So they should be a better team than that 3-8 record last season. We'll see if they can get themselves in the mix. So that's my top 10, and that's my all SWAC teams. We will be back on tomorrow with SWAC Smoke Live, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And Sunday, I'm working on a couple of things in terms of videos to drop. So football is right around the corner, man. Next week is the MEAC SWAC Challenge. The week after. my dates are yeah. Is it? Yeah, it isn't. It isn't. It is in a week. Cause Saturday the 19th. So next week we'll have our week 0 preview on Wednesday. So we'll break down the SWAC Challenge on next Wednesday, and we'll recap that game on the following Sunday. Probably I might do a video on Saturday, depending on how the game goes. But we are here, man. We are in the season, so hey, let's get ready. Let's get hyped, and we'll catch y'all on SWAC Smoke tomorrow. I'm out. Peace.